Hello, welcome to Dream Team Scout. This is your boy Tage, and the Premier League season is back, yo. Listen, it's listen. I'm excited, man. I'm very excited. But I would say for the latecomers, start finalizing your teams, bro. Start finalizing your teams because how they've done the pricing this year is crazy. Like they've actually got it right with regards to the pricings. Like it's yeah. Start finalizing your teams. And just to give you a little background, I've been doing this for over 20 years now. Like, yeah, that deep. I've been doing it since I've been playing the Sun Dream Team from when, it used to get published on the papers, and then it went to, bonus points on News of the World, and we had the 3 windows per season, and then they went to 5 transfers per month, and that could be done whenever you choose to. And they had the quota rules where you couldn't pick more than 3 players in a team, like the FPL. And now we just keep on evolving, and here we are. But listen, anyway, let me not stand in ceremonies here. As Bane would say, let me not stand in ceremonies here, Mr. Wayne. But listen, start finalizing your teams. I'm going to quickly run through the rules. It's like literally 48 hours plus over for between the first game of the season. Liverpool, kickstarting the season. But just to say, like the rules for this year is, the roll on transfers. We could roll on our transfers up to 6 transfers, so we could keep them. So you can make 1 transfer this week, roll it over to next week, or you could keep both if you want to, but you could only keep up to a maximum of 6 transfers. Then that's it, you can't roll any over. Also, a brand new feature they introduced this season would be the 5 substitutes, where you could sub in a player if the player you had initially picked during that game week hasn't played yet. So that's kind of cool. Not bad. So I think we have to be strategic with this. I don't know how I'm going to play this season with regards to doing that, but it is what it is. Outside of that, it's the same boosters from last season. So it's the 12-man, max captain, which max captain was alright. The 12-man I wasn't really happy about, and then the goal bonus still remains the same, which I feel they should have given the players more points for a goal booster. But I mean, it is what it is, man. I can't really complain. I'm excited. And yeah, we all know what time it is as the season's about to start. So listen, once again, most people probably would have been, they'd have probably done the transfers already, finalized, and just tinkering. For people like us who have been busy with life and, sort of been keeping, the extra eye, or should I say the one eye open if you watch anime, or, yeah, they were cheer. But listen, yeah, this episode is for you, to get your head back in the game. And there's so many players to choose from. I've sort of narrowed it down to the players I've been sort of shortlisting in my head, so I'm just going to quickly run through them. So what I've done, I've sort of tried to pick players that were within the bracket of European competitions. Now, it's not feasible to have all of them because the prices are crazy, like I did say earlier on. But just to quickly go through, and you can see it on the screen, we know teams in the Champions League. We got Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle, Spurs. We got Europa League. We got Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Conference. Sorry, not Crystal Palace, and they got demoted, right? And we've got Nottingham Forest as well. So I try to pick players around all of these because I know majority of the fixtures after the first few weeks of the season were the Carling Cup games, where you could probably try to get some points. But anyways, I've learned from last season not to just be short-sighted with my transfers, just think about the long term. So I would say I try to pick players around that. So yeah, just to go into the players that I did consider, I'm going to start off with the strikers. Is Bate, Haaland. As you could see on the screen, last season he scored 367 points. He averages 8.5 points per game. Listen, He's a goal machine, and and Wolves have conceded in all pre-season friendlies so far, and they don't look great defensively. So, and Haaland has got ownership of 32.7, so it's the third highest. So yeah, I'll be definitely be looking to have Haaland in my team, no doubt. And then you got King Mo Salah, the highest point, player in the game last season with 503. The difficult thing is you could probably have both in your team, but you would have to go for a cheap backline, and I hate having going for a cheap backline because they depreciate in value, and then when you're trying to move them out of the team, it becomes a problem. Then you would still have to sell a big asset to move them. So between Haaland and Salah, I'm leaning towards Haaland, but I do know Liverpool are going to be facing Bournemouth, and listen, and Bournemouth already lost 3 of the main, the 4 defenders, so it's a tough one. But yeah, Salah got 503 points last season, averaging 9.7, so obviously definitely better than better than Haaland. And like I said, he's a goal and assist machine, and Bournemouth have lost 3 of the 4 main defenders, like I just said earlier on, and I expect Salah to still be on pen duties, and even though he missed one in the the Community Shield. Pool's opening fixtures, they've got Bournemouth, then they've got Newcastle, then they've got Arsenal and Burnley. So yeah, that's down to you to decide between those 2 premium picks. And then if you want to fall back a little bit down, I know there's the Goalkeepers, but I didn't really lean towards Goalkeepers straight away. Even being an Arsenal fan, I just feel might need a bit of time to get used to the Premier League. And Havertz scored a fantastic goal, so I know Arteta loves Havertz, and so he might find his minutes being shared. So if we're looking outside of that, then I'll say Ollie Watkins for Villa, who's been on crazy form in pre-season. He scored 5 goals in 5 pre-season games. Aston Villa have a favourable schedule ahead, and he will likely thrive as the team's key player. Furthermore, Newcastle, they've conceded about 13 goals in 6 pre-season friendly matches. So yeah, I'm leaning towards getting a Watkins in my team. Definitely, no doubt. I think his form in preseason has been crazy. He's scoring in literally almost every other game. His ownership is 8.2. That's already a differential, and in Europe as well. And he scored great points last season. Didn't really get much bonus points, but yeah, his returns are great, even though it went through the dip. So I would probably say Watkins. So right now we're looking at Haaland, Watkins. And then if I was to go down to another tier just below that, I'm considering Pedro. I think he's hit Chelsea. His impact in the Chelsea team has been amazing. I think he starts over the lap. I'm trusting him. I'm trusting him to start over the lap. He's got 5 goals in 5 games with Chelsea so far, and then 2 goals in pre-season. And he, like I said, he's slightly cheaper, and he could replicate the same numbers as Watkins I just mentioned earlier on, or the Goalkeepers, or the Ekitike. So his ownership is 35.2. It's amazing. Now, with the risk with him, I know he might face rotation with the lap at a similar price. But I think Chelsea's few opening fixtures are great against Palace and then in West Ham, Fulham. I think I could see him doing very well. So right now, if I was to sort of lean, that would be for my team. That would be Haaland, Pedro, Watkins. And then another differential that probably I should have mentioned as well, and I did want to say, would be Gakpo. So it's another one I'm thinking, if I can't get Salah in my team, then I might go for an alternative in Gakpo, who was 4.5 million, just like Pedro. Scored 282 points last season. He doesn't have Diaz to compete with, so he's got the left side of the front 3 sort of pretty much almost nailed down. Now, he might get the occasional rotational risk where they might probably move Wirtz on the left and to accommodate, McAllister, depending on what strategy Slot does decide to play. But Gakpo, so far in pre-season, he's been in good form as well. He's got 4 goals in 5 games in pre-season, and he, like I said, he looks certain to nail down that left flank. But he could be an alternative option for people, and his ownership once again is 5.6, and I would definitely stick him as a differential. Most definitely, I would say. It's just how you want to build a team. Some people like to go heavy with a strike force. Some people like to go heavy with a midfield. But it's not one of those seasons where you could go heavy strike force, heavy midfield, and you can't do that anymore. But yeah, so that would be it with the strike force so far. I know there's probably much options that I didn't mention. Like, I know I did say Goalkeepers. I know Bowen has a great opening fixture. But like I said, I'm thinking more in the long term. Okay, I'm not looking to fight for points so early when we're in a marathon. Do you know what I'm saying? It's all about the stamina. It's not the race. It's all about the race and not the stamina. What am I saying? Anyway, you know what I'm trying to get across. Anyway, but yeah. Anyway, to go into midfield, the few players are shortlisted. I would say Cole Palmer, definitely Cole Palmer. He scored 339 points last season, and remember, guys, he had a terrible dip in form last season where he couldn't even score up to 2 goals to the end of the season. But he started the Club World Championship in great form. Pre-season has been decent. So, like I said, he's an exceptional talent, and it's not surprising that he's the most owned player in the game at 51.8%. I think I've not seen no one with that sort of ownership. So, yeah, I'm gonna go for him. Definitely as the linchpin in midfield. The other high guys, now I'm thinking between Saka and Wirtz. But if I was just to bring in Wirtz, I would say Wirtz is obviously 6 million, just a bit cheaper than Palmer and Saka. And he's predicted to have a high returns for both goals and assists. And Liverpool's, attack. I mean, his Bundesliga stats last season was 16 goals and 14 assists. So we can't underestimate this guy's ability, his talent. We don't know if he could replicate the same form in the Premier League, but quite a lot of people are sticking with him as well because his ownership is 28.6. So he's one that I would want to sort of have in my team if I'm not going for Salah. So I did say earlier on with my strike force, so I will probably say Wirtz would get into my team at this point in time. And then obviously we've got Saka. The Arsenal opening few fixtures are crazy. They got Man United, Leeds, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, all tough games for Arsenal, bar from Leeds. But Saka, he's Mr. Reliable for Arsenal, and he scored recently again in the win against Bilbao. So I know the opening fixture for Arsenal against United is tough, but if Arsenal are going to do well, then he's integral to it. He's got ownership of 24.2. So he might be someone I might start considering maybe second game week. Who knows? But then, like I said, I don't want to think too short term. So let's see how it turns out against United. If he does something crazy, then I'll be forced to bring him in, and we just have to try and make it work. But yeah, so that would be Saka for like the premium midfielders that I'm contemplating with, 2 out of 3. And then just to go a tier below that, there are other guys I thought about, like Tijani Rajdniders for Man City, Cherky and all of these guys. But then with Pep, I don't really know what plays he's going to play, and that's the annoying thing about Pep. So next guy in line will be Iliman Ndiaye for Everton. I know. His ownership is 6.3, okay? And the risk of him not replicating last season might be, I've said on the screen right there, second season syndrome. But listen, Everton got a good opening fixture against Leeds United. Then they got Brighton. Then they got Wolves. And all of these things don't sit back. And they might force Everton to come out of the shell. And Everton, they've showed the hand and, in the transfer window by going for Grealish. And I think him, Ndiaye, combining with Grealish could be something that we could keep an eye out for. He's a bit expensive, 4 million, but he had a great breakout season last season with 11 goals, and is one I'm contemplating with. And if I don't bring him in, then I might go for, like I did mention earlier, Tijani Rajdniders, who's slightly expensive at 4.5 million. So that is something that I need to really think about moving forward. So, but yeah, and then finally, the ace in the hole, like the Joker, Ace on the O, and will be Jorginho Rutter of Brighton. It's 3.5 million. I've seen him in pre-season. He's used. He could play on the wings. He could play behind the striker. He could play up front. And he scored 165 points last season, which is okay. But for 3.5 million, you sort of expect those returns. He's averaging 5.2 points last season. His bonus points went the best. And that is something that guys will need to think about, as opposed to Ndai that I mentioned previously, who scored a 41 points by bonus points of 41. That's crazy. So is something that is something that I need to think about. Or am I correct with Ndai scoring 41 bonus points? I'm not too sure on that, but I probably need to research that properly. But then anyway, Rota is someone that his ownership is just 1%. 1%. And to me, he's a differential, man. I know Brighton got some tough opening fixtures with regards to Fulham on the same level. Then they got Everton away. Then they got Man City. Then Bournemouth. But like I said, he's a short-term option, you know, and I'm looking for him really to hit the ground running against Fulham, Everton, and hopefully would have an idea of how Man City are with regards to the defence, if they're going to be keeping clean sheets or not. And if you don't want to go for Jorginho Rutter, then I'll probably say Undoya for Nottingham Forest, who comes in as a replacement for Elanga. That's another guy that we need to. He performed well last season. He was the most fouled player in the Italian league. I think he scored about 6 goals. So once again, that could be someone that you could, you know, contemplate having, should I say. And that's the midfield. Those are the midfielders I'm playing with. There are one too many. But once again, this is just my thought process. My team's not finalized. Probably still gonna, you know, keep tinkering. Hence the reason why this video is coming so late before the kickoff. It shows my preparation, really. But and then to go into defense, I would say Cucurella at Chelsea. It's 4.5 million. He scored 225 points last season. And listen, this guy is a formidable attacking threat. You know, having scored 7 goals and provided 3 assists last season, he is the first choice left back for Chelsea, and he made 54 appearances and ranked the 10th best defender in the game based on the points accumulated. So ownership is 16.5, which shows, you know, people are sort of clued onto him. And Chelsea got some good fixtures open, and they've got, you know, Palace, West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, you know, and so he's one definitely probably in my mind nailed on. And then if I was to move on to the next defender, would be Nouri, who's another 4.5 million. I've always admired him in the FPL leagues. He was a must-have. Last season, he scored 231 points, averaging 5.6 points. His bonus points is 42. Wow. And that's something we once again have to consider. You're pitting that against Cucurella at 17. So I was saying Cucurella is nailed on, but hey, listen, another left back is nailed on in my team. He's an attacking fullback with great returns, 5 goals and 7 assists for a struggling side in Wolves last season. So I expect him to do better this season if he's not subject to, you know, Pep's rotation policy. His ownership also, people are getting clued up to him. So that is something that we want us to be, wary about. So most people are looking to have him as well in their teams. Now, the risk with him, it might face rotation. That's another problem with Pep Guardiola's team side. You never know who is going to play. But opening fixture against the team he left, Wolves. And you know how it is. If you play Football Manager, the old player always scores against the new team or vice versa. So he's probably nailed on into my team. Now this would take me to sort of thinking around having a cheap alternative, because I've gone a bit expensive in my defence with Nouri Cucurella. Digny at Aston Villa was someone as well I thought about. Scored 200 points last season, bonus points of 15. And this is actually getting crazy. And I've mentioned on here that my love affair for another left back continues. And, you know, he's got a good set of opening fixtures ahead. He registered 6 goals last season over 200 points return, and considering he was rotated with Ian Maddison quite frequently last season, it shows you how good of a defender he is to score 200 points. The opening fixtures against Newcastle, we know that. West Ham, Fulham and Brentford ahead. So it could be one of them. So if I do decide to, maybe I'm trying to find 5 million or 1 million there, and or 0.5 million. I might drop Cucurella and bring in Digne for him. Who knows? But once again, is a differential. I was quite shocked when I saw the ownership of 1.6 for Digne. I think people sleeping on him. People actually are sleeping on my guy. And then, how can I avoid not having an Arsenal defender, even though the fixtures are tough? Arsenal under Arteta are known to be very pragmatic. Best defense in the league last season, and for me, it's looking like a season for left backs because this is my fourth left back on the list. And then listen, Arsenal had the best defensive record last season, and he's a cheaper route into the Arsenal defense at 4 million. So his ownership is 12.6. The risk with him is the fixtures. We all know that. It's just something that we have to bite the bullet, man, and just, put our money where our mouth is and just go with what you think or what you feel, should I say. And then finally, and it's not right for me to do 4 left backs and no right backs, so I'm just going to keep to the same theme, and just finally we'll be Maxim the Kuiper for Brighton. It's 3 million. Obviously we can't really judge his points because he's just coming into Brighton, but he comes with a growing pedigree now, a pedigree of 9 goals and 17 assists in the last 2 seasons for Club Brugge. I think that is amazing. That is very attacking, and I know the Brighton manager probably might do wonders with him, flying down that wing. Risk with this is that obviously Brighton do not really keep as much clean sheets as we all know. The opening fixture obviously is against Fulham, and then they go Everton, Man City, what we've spoken about. He's definitely differential. His ownership is 5.1, so not that high, and I don't expect him to be. And yeah, he's one I'm considering between him. If I don't go for him, then I might go for Gusto. So if I'm trying to go for, I normally like to pair 2 defenders from one team just to gain the clean sheet straight away. So I might swap it for Gusto. Who knows? But then if I get rid of Cucurella, I don't know, man. Right now I'm just playing with it. But once again, if I'm looking for funds, these are just different alternatives that we could also go for. So I'm quite aware that it's not easy, man. It's not easy at all. And then for goalkeepers, I've got Matt Sales for Nottingham Forest. Not said about him. He's the fourth best goalkeeper from last season's games. They kept 4 clean sheets in 6 games during pre-season, and they're also playing in Europe. So he's probably one I'd like to bring him to my team. At 3.5, an alternative to him would be Sanchez, who once again is in Europe. He's Chelsea's main man. Looks like they brought a goalkeeper to dislodge him in the team. I'm kind of sending a trend with what I'm saying right now as I say it with regards to Chelsea defenders, and there's other teams out there, but just the pricing, man. The pricing is just crazy. If not Sales, then Areola at West Ham. And guys, let me just say this. I am not happy recommending Areola. Why am I doing it? It's solely for the benefit of being cost effective and using the funds placed better elsewhere. And, he could get that little, boost if they keep a clean sheet against Sunderland. He might get, plus 300k, and that is something that we might take moving forward. And then, see how we could, spread, use those funds elsewhere. So this definitely is a short-term mindset. I know I started the pod with not having a short-term mindset, but this definitely is a short-term mindset. And listen, hey, we have to have some sort of variance in the team, or if you're in finance, diversify your portfolio, or just have players from let's not just be all about the European players now. Practice what you preach. But yeah, so that is it for the players that I'm considering for roughly, that I'm sort of trying to figure out my team now. Other players might come in as tomorrow or Friday afternoon. But yeah, those are the players I'm sort of aiming for. My team right now, just put on the screen for you guys. Right now, my team, with what I've just said, my team probably. So as I've been talking to you, I've been playing around with it. So let me just show. I will probably say this is the team so far that I've built. But once again, I'm also thinking I'm not a fan of having 4 at the back when I could get an extra midfielder, could probably do more. But right now, my team would read Haaland, Pedro, Gakpo. But I'm definitely probably going to swap. I have to bring in Watkins. The form cannot be ignored. That means Ndiaye, I might have to probably step down, bring in Rutter for him. And yeah, this is the team so far. But once again, it's not finalized. Once the season kicks off, I'll be posting my team, sharing a short and just to let people know what the final team was. I'll probably say, looking at this team, I'll probably say Haaland and Pedro staying, Palmer and Wirtz staying. I might play around with the defense and the formation. I'm definitely probably going to go 3 at the back. Not too happy with Raiola in my team. But I'll probably say people that are nailed on right now will be Haaland, Pedro, Palmer, Nouri. The others, it's free for all, man, and it's not easy, guys. It's not easy. Captain choice, obviously Haaland, expecting to do bits against Wolves. And then vice captain might be Wirtz or Palmer. I'm not too sure. If I do have some sort of crazy idea with regards to Salah and bringing Salah in my team, then I'll be captaining them. But once again, get your team in, start thinking, start building it. Forgo the shortlisting, writing down, doing all those mental notes like I've been doing. Trust me, when you actually start doing it on paper or on your phone, or not on paper, on your laptop, on your phone, it's much more difficult. It's much more difficult. But listen, like, share, and subscribe. We're back. It's another season. I'm excited for it, and it is what it is. Dream Team Scout, over and out.